A Bayside market in San Francisco that's been open for over 30 years is closing its doors due to crime and homelessness. Check it out.
Too much crime, too little protection for employees. That is the main reason that a San Francisco neighborhood market owner says he is closing his doors after 35 years in business. Here's NBC Barria's Sergio Quintana with more.
For some longtime customers of the Bayside Market, seeing a letter taped to their front doors announcing the market is closing was a bummer.
We're disappointed to learn that our lovely neighborhood store was closing down, and obviously it's been a central part of the community.
What are you going to do for your morning routine now?
Ah, man. I think I'm going to have to buy like a coffee maker, then just make my own sandwiches at home. You know, I have to like walk pretty far to get like anywhere else, so
The owner of the market isn't happy about it either. What does it feel like to have made the decision that you have to leave this space?
It sucks. I mean, this is my livelihood.
David Pasusic says the cost of running any small business continues to rise by thousands of dollars between the rising price of inventory, insurance, and his monthly PG&E bill. But the safety of his employees and the often violent responses they get when they regularly catch shoplifters is the main reason why he's closing up shop.
Some of them refuse to give it back, fight us, try to fight us, and or they say, well, go ahead and call the police. I'll wait for the police to show up. And they laugh in your face because they know they're not going to show up.
Along with the harassment and violence, he says he's also had to resort to boarding up his windows at closing time because of repeated break-ins. And for those reasons, the Bayside Market will close as of Friday. David Pasusic says he blames some of the problems he's been seeing on policy leaders at City Hall.
he's had employees attacked. I think most of this, if not all of it, comes back to just a level of public drug use that we've got to get our arms around, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on.
District 6 Supervisor Matt Dorsey says he hopes to convince Pasusic to return when public safety improves.
I always long for some of the times that I can look back on, and I know that every era has its good and its bad, but I like to look at and study history. So in addition to the stuff like The Intelligent Investor and books that I like to read and reread and stuff like that, just to remind me and to reinforce some of the things that I've learned over the years and to keep me on the up and up. I also like to read books or study history, right? And I long for the days of the 1950s and the 60s when you didn't have as many cars on the road, and then you took the car out and you did what you wanted to do on a Sunday ride. That's the main time that you really used the car. But you lived, worked, and played all in the same area. And in that era, you would usually go to the market, and they didn't have deep freezers. They didn't have huge refrigerators. They didn't have all of these things and these modern conveniences now that I think actually ruins our quality of life. And so what they did back in the day is that they bought what they needed for that day. They did not shop in bulk. They didn't go to big grocery stores. They went to the local market, the local butcher. They got fresh fruits and vegetables, and they ate for the day. They focused on keeping money in the community, and they were healthier, and they walked everywhere and stuff. And so that's kind of how I've tailored my life today. And I know that I've had to make adjustments in order to make sure that my daughter went to certain schools and stuff like that. But now that I've evolved and my daughter is becoming a lot more less dependent on us to get her back and forth to school and stuff, this is the thing that I love. I love going to the markets. I love shopping at the local spaces. I love going to shop at local vendors and going to the baseball games. And, you know, in the daytime, sometimes after the show, some of y'all don't even know, I'll just go to the 1 o'clock or 1:40 game right up the street and go to the baseball game and hang out there for a few hours and then come back and get back to work and take care of business. But that is now disappearing because if you don't have an environment that supports small business, you're basically cutting your own throat as a city leader and as a city. And that's what you've seen happen in Oakland. You're now seeing it happen in San Francisco at a much slower pace because San Francisco is a much more prosperous city. And you're seeing it happen all across America. But that's what's happening over in San Francisco. And then over in New York City in Manhattan, a woman was killed because of a robbery attempt in NYC. Check it out.
A tragic scene here on Market Street, leaving a husband in disbelief. The crime scene just behind me. Police still inside on the 8th floor of this building. The NYPD telling me a man came home around 11 p.m. He was followed into this building by 2 men. Those 2 men got into the elevator with him, riding it up to the 8th floor. Police say that's when the 2 men tried to rob him, and a commotion ensued in the hallway. His wife hears the commotion, hearing her husband's voice, steps out into the hallway, and police say that's when the 57-year-old woman was shot in the face and pronounced dead minutes later. The 2 men then took off running, police having this description for us. One wore a half-red, half-black hoodie, black and white shoes, black pants, and a white stripe going down the leg, covering his face with a black ski mask. The other suspect also hiding his face with a black ski mask, dressed in all black, wearing black and white sneakers. Both of them running away on foot. Back out here live, police telling...
What's their race? What's the skin color? Please don't hit me with diversity, equity, and inclusion and identity politics and trying to play PC. We need to catch the criminals. Who are the criminals? What do they look like? And this is also another argument. I remember this might have been like a year ago, and we got into this big old argument. Oh, I remember. It was at Alabama Brawl. Remember the Alabama Brawl where the women jumped in? And I said, look, I don't want my woman stepping in and getting involved in a confrontation that I may have. And everybody was like, no, if she a real one, she need to jump in with you. The husband survives, the wife steps out, and the wife get killed. The husband survived. He's in the hallway getting robbed and brawling with 2 people that's trying to rob him going up in the elevator. The wife step out to be nosy or go to help him, and the wife get killed. This is exactly the reason why I said that I don't believe that women should step into situations where men is involved, because sometimes you become the liability and you actually make the situation 10 times worse. If you want to help me, hey, call the police or something like that. But I remember when I was talking this, listen, I got the memory of an elephant and I don't forget nothing. And I remember when I was talking about that Alabama Brawl, and I was like, no, she need to be stepping in and fighting the women. Get out of here. And people got so mad at me. I'll be right so many times. And I wish I could rehash this conversation, but then it becomes a liability. And then last but not least, iPhones. Apple unveiled its iPhone event, which it revealed iPhones and several other different things, including the replacing an Apple Watch and the AirPods on the lower end of the spectrum. And then in addition to that, they released Apple Intelligence and several new features that I think will be beneficial to people. Check it out.
And then the third thing they introduced were the new iPhones. The iPhone 16 and the iPhone 16 Pro. But what's really important here is these phones were built from the ground up to take full advantage of Apple's new Apple Intelligence software. What you're going to have with this new iPhone is the ability to create your own emojis. It's going to make Siri more powerful. It's adding generative AI to the iPhones. It means that you can write a sentence and then say, elaborate on it or clarify it. The writing tools in general from generative AI are fantastic, but having that built into the iPhone apps, that's a game changer. The first product they introduced was the new Apple Watch Series 10 that has greater processing power, many new features, and one specific one that I think is going to get a lot of attention is that it has the ability to test for sleep apnea. The second product they introduced were the new AirPods and the AirPods Pro. They are going to put out new software that'll be out this fall that will turn them into hearing aids.
I think that those are some really neat features. I think that iPhones and Apple have been focused more on software more than they have on hardware. And it's the user experience that they're more focused on, which is one of the reasons why I like their products. Sometimes I'll just go outside, I'll get my gimbal, I'll record a video. I like their cameras. I think that their cameras are much better than some of the cameras that I stream on or the more expensive cameras that I have inside of the studio. I'll go knock out a video, take a picture, make the adjustment in whatever software that I need to make the adjustment in, airdrop it straight over to my computer, upload it up to YouTube, and I'm all done and I'm set and I'm rocking. And so the easy way to be able to use the products and the user experience, some of the stuff that they was talking about, because I was actually watching the drop yesterday, is being able to use your AirPods as hearing aids. And then also the thing that was really cool was some of the features and the new health features that they had with the Apple Watch, such as your ability to be able to detect sleep apnea, because they describe, as described in the keynote speech, a lot of people don't realize the health benefits that come with detecting or early detection for some of the issues that you may have that you don't even realize that you have. So they had a lot of things that I think that they're focusing on. I think that they're going to be focusing on diabetics going into the future and things like that. And then obviously they released a new iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Pro, which I think is coming at the end of September. I don't know. I'm sure I'll go and get them all. But it was dope. It was a pretty dope keynote speech. And I think that most phone makers are focusing on software just as much as they are focusing on hardware. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what happened during the iPhone 16 launch event. It was pretty cool. And then I'll give y'all more insight on that as I go and grab the devices myself and go and play around with them. But ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits.